Okay. Are you going to pull it up real fast?
Mm-hmm.
I realize we're live. We'll wait till a couple people are here. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's no one on yet anyway, so nobody will see this part of it until afterward. I'm too short for this room. There we go. Good enough.
It's not showing up.
It's showing up for me.
Oh, it is? Yeah. Okay, Ella's got it. Let's see, how quickly will one of us get a thing about whether or not people can hear us? All right, Rita's watching. It's up. Okay.
Okay.
Are we all set?
Aunt Patty said hi from next door.
Okay, can Patty hear us? Let's just make
Patty,
sure that,
can you hear us?
let's just make sure that that's working.
Hi, Michelle.
Okay. Are we good here?
I think we're good.
All right. Did anyone confirm that we can be heard and everything?
Can you hear us?
I'm
You can
watching
hear?
it, yeah.
She's got her AirPods on. Yeah, she can hear.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
All right. So, okay. So tonight we have someone special joining us for our very first interview live. And instead of talking about some of the other things going on locally, we are going to talk about something really important. So, let's see if we're kind of all set for this. You good?
We're good.
All right. So, without further ado,
Freeze! This is the police. Don't move.
welcome to our sheriff, Gary Schutte. He is here to talk about the millage.
Yay!
Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Mary, you get the nice chair?
Yeah, you want to switch?
She gets like the racing chair.
No, that's okay.
Oh, look, he's perfectly
I
in
know.
frame. There we go. Good enough.
He's the important one.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a shame. Sorry about that,
That's
everybody.
okay. They see us all the time. All right. So I guess right off the bat, we should probably just start off with, if you just want to tell everybody what the millage is. Let's just
Sure.
go into the basics.
Sure. So, it is not about the jail. And that's the important thing to remember. And in other words, it's not about fixing the jail. What it is about is it's about the deputies. And it's about keeping the deputies in a position to where they can continue to do their job. Right now, we have a millage from 2022 that expired that contained $1.2 million in funding that paid for the Channer Road operating costs. Because that expired, we've been using our rainy day fund, if you will, from the county.
Okay.
And that rainy day fund will be depleted if we continue to use it for the operation costs. So, unfortunately, if we don't pass this millage, we will have to make some drastic cuts because we have to continue to operate. And what that means essentially is that this millage represents 12 full-time positions at the county sheriff's office, and that's deputy positions.
All right.
So a lot of people will look at this millage and say, well, it only has to do the jail. What do I care about that? Well, they have to remember that this is actually about both sides of the house. So deputies are specific to both the roadside, which is law enforcement services that everybody sees, pulling you over, doing those kinds of things, answering complaints, to corrections deputies who are minding the jail and the people who are locked up inside of it. So if we lose 12 full-time positions, essentially what that means is that we're going to have to make some drastic cuts, and it will mean deputies from both the corrections side and the road side.
Are they making the same amount? Like, would it be like
roughly.
6 and 6?
Roughly.
Probably.
It could be. It's going to be a game time decision, Jobeth, to be honest with you, because the reality of it is we have to wait and see where we're at in our numbers when that day, if that day comes. Hopefully it doesn't. And then make a determination as to how we're going to proceed forward. So there's a lot of things that go into that calculus, you know. Specifically how many inmates we have, how many inmates we project we're going to have. And what I mean by that is there's all sorts of different types of crimes that require us to have people locked up for a specific amount of time. So for instance, drunk driving second offense carries a mandatory 30 days in the county jail. So how are we going to do that? Right now, there's all sorts of different programs we have that allow us to take care of those types of situations. What that's going to look like after November, we will have to assess.
We're the only county jail, right?
We're the only jail in this county.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
How many inmates are there right now?
Currently,
Do you
right,
know?
currently right now, as of this morning, did you get it?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm all the way off.
Well, that's not good.
There we go. There's some hair. It's fine. Everyone can hear me.
So as of this morning, we had 293 between both facilities on Wesley Street and on Shannon Road.
I'm just gonna get up on my knees. I'm so short in this. All right, there we go. Well, now he's short too, though. I think we lost a little bit of our.
Hold up straight.
We could be standing actually. So when you said 12 full-time positions, you didn't mean that like with this money you could hire 12 more people.
No.
No,
we
you
will
just mean
keep-
you're gonna lose 12 people.
That's right.
And I know we talked about this before. I don't want to scroll back to find it, but how many are there right now? How many deputies are there right now? I know it's already short-staffed.
We are short-staffed. So we're allotted on the roadside. We're allotted 40 positions. Currently, as we sit here today, we have 34 of those positions filled.
And like 4 of them are in training or something.
Three
in
are
training.
actually in the police academy, and one's off. Actually, 2 are off on medical right now.
Oh, okay.
So, on our corrections side, we have 53 positions, and we have 6 openings potentially. By the time of the beginning of the year, we'll have 8 because we have 2 people that are up for retirement. So one could elect to go right away. One has to go, I believe, in later January. So could be 8. And that's why I say, you know, these are going to be game time decisions. A lot of the information that comes to us is going to kind of dictate on how we're going to go.
But this isn't, like you said, this isn't about the jail. This isn't about fixing it, which, by the way, I mean, that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Mary and I have both seen it now. Pretty bad. But this is just to keep everything the way it is right now, right?
Right.
That's it.
That's right.
So if it doesn't pass, and I know they talked about this at our board meeting, what is that, a week and a half ago now? Week and a half ago? Something like that. Not even a week ago.
It doesn't matter.
Wow,
Anyways.
time seems to be flying. No, it was a week and a half ago. They talked about some of the consequences of this not going through could be things like losing night patrol.
Right.
So how much night patrol do we have? Like right now, what is specific to Rives, if you happen to know? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even though there's probably people from like Leslie watching, well, that would be Ingham. But we have Onondaga, people from Tompkins in the group,
Sure.
Pleasant Lake. You know, this is going to affect all of us out here. So
Right.
do you happen to know like how often you guys tend to be in here? I know people were just here the other night. We just had a really bad accident, and I believe that was Jackson County that was out here for that.
It was. So I can tell you, I can give you some statistics. So
Okay.
last year we had 702 complaints in Rives. So I mean, when you do the math on that, it's 1.5, 2 a night, or
Yep.
2 a day, something like that. So that's what we do with our patrol services. So it's really important to understand the dynamics on how this all works. All right. So out of those 40 positions, there's 15 of them that are specific to a particular township. In other words, they leave those people alone for the out-county calls. They just handle the townships that they're situated at.
Okay.
And then there are 2 people that are specifically assigned to traffic. All right?
Only
And
2.
Only 2.
That doesn't seem like a lot.
Well, that's secondary road patrol grant, which provides that we use just that money for traffic. So we have 2 deputies that are in, and they're paid for not through the budget, but through the state. All right. So
Okay.
those positions that I was
So
just
it's a pretty big grant.
It is.
That's
Yeah,
over $100,000.
It's about $280,000.
Oh, right. You did. Yeah, you told me this before.
That comes in. Yep. Next year it's going to be a little bit higher. It has a tendency to go up and down. It's a little bit more stabilized than it has been in years past, but it still is fluctuates a bit.
And that's from the state, you said?
That comes from the state. It's called Secondary Road Patrol. We call it SRP for short.
SRP.
And yep. And the townships pay for the rest of those positions, those 15 positions that I was talking about. So that's 17 of our positions that are taken care of out of the general budget.
Okay.
So that's not included. So those positions are safe. All right. So it's the 23 positions that are left over that do all of the out county road patrol, which is what you see here in Rives.
Which we do see here in Rives.
You do. And out of that 23, we have 3 that are assigned to our detective bureau. So they're detectives. We have 1 that's assigned to JNet, the undercover narcotics team. And then the rest of them, let's just call it 20.
What number are we at now? Okay. Yeah, I was going to say,
Let's
where
just
are we
call it
at?
20. We're at 19. But let's just call it 20. We're usually 1 short, and it's typically we do that on the day shift oftentimes because we have other people that can supplement it if we have a full complement of deputies. So as of right now, what we do is we take what's left over and we divide it amongst the people that we have left. All right?
What's left in your budget?
Amongst the 4th shift. And that's coming directly from the budget.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That is the general fund budget, right?
That is the general fund budget. So those positions are divided like this. So we have 4 shifts that are 12 hours. And so you can see that there's roughly enough for 5 people on each shift, right?
For the whole county.
For the whole county.
Which is what, 18 townships? How many is it?
19.
Jeez.
19 townships,
That's pretty close,
6 villages, and 1 city. It's roughly 725 square miles.
Oh, that's loud. Oh, I got it. I'll turn my thing down. No, I was trying to pull up that graph real fast.
You're good.
So why don't we just go ahead and kind of repeat some of the questions that came up the other day?
Yeah.
So, now of course, now that I've been thinking about it for days, actually.
Now that I just thought of it 30 seconds ago.
Like, why can't, okay, so one of the big things I think
I don't see county out here anyways. I always see state, which
that
is
did come up, yes.
opposite of what I see. If you guys were cut off 12, a whole shift of
What is that, 6 to
deputies,
6? 7 to 7?
how many,
6 to 6.
6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
when
would
we're
be gone.
talking,
Right.
Possibly.
2 calls a day out here, at least, at minimum.
A call
2
and a
calls
half a
call and
day.
a half a day. Does the state please have the staffing to accommodate that?
Sure.
Make up for it.
Because that's them, that's not counting how many times the state police are out here. So
Right.
let's say they're out here 1.5 times per day. And you guys are out here 1.5 times per day. So we've got now 3 calls per day per 24-hour period, which if those happen during the day, I guess we'd be fine.
Well,
Or finer. But if they happen at night, then we just have the state boys. That's it, right?
Yeah, and are they capable? Do they have this?
I
They're
don't
capable.
know.
That was a bad word, but do they have the staffing to be able to make up that deficit?
The short answer is no. So they're short-staffed right now.
I was about to say
as
they're
we
probably
are.
short-staffed.
Well, and that's just the
but the
point
other
of the
thing-
question.
The other thing that's important to remember, or to know, I suppose, if you never knew, is that Jackson is now not just the Jackson Post; it's the Jackson Hillsdale Post.
Yeah.
So it's 2.
I didn't know that.
2 counties instead of just 1, and they're responsible
they're
for
stretched even
Hillsdale
thinner.
County.
Yes.
Exactly, and Hillsdale County already doesn't have night patrol. So the state police goes to Hillsdale County at night and conducts patrol services over there. The way that they do it right now, and I don't like speaking for them, but I'll just give you kind of in a nutshell.
All right, maybe we can find a state cop to come on here too. I don't know. I'll make some calls.
In a nutshell, the way that they work is they have 3 cars out at night, and 2 of them are down in Hillsdale County, and 1 of them is in Jackson County. So they have 2 troopers in each car, which is probably the safest way to do it, because when you're traveling, great distances between calls like we do, your backup
Or driving out to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, your
Like, we'll
backup's
just call
going
it
to
it is.
be your
Like-
backup's going to be a long ways away, right?
Right.
So they travel with 2. which is probably what we would be forced to do in certain circumstances in the event something like this happens. So it limits your ability to go out there and actually patrol and do, comprehensive stuff because you don't have enough people. You don't have enough boots on the ground. You have double people up in the cars.
Do you happen to know, I should have looked this up. I don't know why I didn't think about it till now, but do you happen to know what your response time is for Rives?
I don't.
I know the ambulance response times are like 18 minutes in an emergency. But I know in my experience, I've waited longer for state, as far as I can tell, than I have for Jackson, except for like, I don't know, state police showing up to a meeting one time. But I feel like we wait a lot longer for state, even though they do tend to patrol through here a little bit more often. How often do deputies like just drive Rives and then like drive out?
So it depends.
I never really see county cars.
Right. So typically we try to touch every township at least once during the course of a shift. Yeah. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. It depends upon what the calls are for service. If you've got a really serious call, for instance, and you've got everybody tied up on it.
Right.
And that, again, that talks about manpower issues too, right?
Yeah.
So if you've only got 3 people on your shift and you've got a shooting, do you think those 3 people are going to be responding to all corners of the county? They're not. They're going to be tied up on that particular incident.
That even happens with like fires and stuff.
For sure.
That happens quite a bit out here where it's like I can hear that like every single surrounding area is all focused on one emergency.
So
it's really important to understand this from a global perspective, right? You've got 19 townships in the county, and you've got the city police that has 24-hour service. You have Blackman and Leone who have 24-hour service.
I forget about Blackman.
You have Columbia Township that has 24-hour service. No one else does. So you have Spring Arbor, you have Springport, you have Napoleon, all have police departments, but they don't have 24-hour service. Some of them go pretty close, but they don't have around the clock. Who carries that bill? We do. 25% of the calls for service that we handle during the course of the year are in townships that have police service. So we rely upon one another for backups. And every now and again, we'll have the city back us up in Summit Township, or we'll have Blackman back us up in a neighboring township, just depending upon the circumstances. So we do that for one another. And there's no complaints here on any of that. There's no complaints about those other departments not having 24-hour service. But understanding that we are a tight-knit law enforcement community and we hold each other together. By backing each other up and doing these types of things. And if you deplete tremendously from the sheriff's office, you're going to affect everyone.
Yeah, there's massive ripple effect.
Right. So even if you're in a township, in a city that already has 24-hour police services, you will be affected greatly by this. And it will also affect the ability to lock people up. And that's really important too. A lot of people don't understand that. County jails serve a really, really good purpose. It's different from all of the mass incarceration arguments that you might have with a prison.
Oh, I got them.
Kind of stuff. And I know you do. That's why I'm throwing it out there. It's different.
I would have them. That's a whole other show. That's a whole other episode.
It is. And it's different from that because here are the circumstances. There's been a lot of studies that have been done on people that are involved in, let's say, violent episodes or any type of other episode where tempers are really flared up. Domestic assault is the perfect example in this case. And a long time ago, the legislature decided to look into that a little bit, and they made a determination that there needed to be a 20-hour cooling off period for somebody involved in a domestic assault. So the person who is the aggressor in those situations typically is locked up and placed in jail for 20 hours. And that's a cooling off period. There's another
drunk
caveat.
tank, basically.
It is.
Yeah.
There's another caveat to that. If they go in front of a magistrate, they can be.
You're married.
I
You're
know
laughing.
what a drunk take is for.
You do.
It's not just drunks.
Not just drunks. That's right. We call it the bullpen too.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you for the education.
Sure. So it's really important to understand that because in a lot of different circumstances, especially when drugs and alcohol are involved, which is a lot of the people that come into that jail, that cooling off period, that sobering up period,
that can be crucial.
It is critical.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the ability to lock folks up, and those are misdemeanor crimes. They're not, world earth-shattering crimes, but they can be. Those crimes are what lead to the bigger ones. And if we can intervene at those moments and cool people off, typically nothing bad else happens as a result of that incident. And then whatever happens during the course happens. But If we don't have that, if we don't have that ability to lock people up, that's critical, and that hampers public safety as well. So it's
Which
not
all
just
just ties
the
back
patrol.
into the jail too. Which,
It does.
So what was because that's been another big thing is that people keep bringing up, not like in our group necessarily, but I've been looking around on Facebook at these posts about it. People keep bringing up that, it's still something about fixing the jail. It's not. So what was the difference between the millage that did not pass in August versus the one that's happening right now? Like,
Okay.
when it comes to a comparison, I know that one was 0.9.
Yes.
This one is 0.2.
Correct. 0.25.
0.25. So in August, it was like a $200,000 house,
Right.
assessed value, right? Not taxable value, would end up being about $90. But if you went to like taxable value, it was what? Yeah, that makes sense because it's like $100,000 taxable value, 0.9, so like $90 a year. So this one is
That's correct.
for a $200,000 house that's taxable value is $100,000.
Right.
This is $50, right?
25.
25. Yes, 25. So
25.
if the home is only assessed at 50, then it's $12.50.
That's right.
Which we
A
did
year.
figure out. Yes, per year. We did figure out in the biweekly paychecks. I don't know where my notes are about it. It was like 96 cents per paycheck, I think it was. If you're getting paid biweekly.
Paycheck. Yep.
So less than $1 per pay period.
Yeah.
Because that math has come up a lot. We've been doing way too many like quick little equations of like, wait, how much is this? Like, wow, that really is not a ton when you look at it.
No.
Because there's so many people that would be paying into it. But the old one from August was supposed to bring in like what, 5 million?
Roughly 5.4 million a year.
And that was a 10-year as well?
That was a 20-year.
Oh, 20 years. This one's
Yep.
a 10-year, right?
This is a 10-year at 0.25.
And the one that
Yep.
just ran out last year? Was that last year? Or this year?
2022.
Oh.
The last collection date, I think, was 2023.
That was a 20-year, correct?
That was a 20-year, and that was a 0.5 mil.
Okay, so it's gone from like a 20-year that did pass to a 20-year that did not pass. Now we're at a 10-year, and it's the lowest one, right? It's the lowest
and
millage
it's a-
of.
Right. It's effectively half of what we were paying before.
And how much is this one supposed to bring in? 1.1?
Roughly 1.5 million.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So,
That ought to cover all of the operating costs for.
what else is there in operating costs besides salary? What else is in there?
Well,
Because I actually don't know this one. I assume it's like supplies and stuff too, right?
it could be, depending upon the circumstances. So what it was originally, you're absolutely right. It had to do with all of the operating of the facility itself. It had to do with some of the supplies that were out there, the linens, the different things like that, the electric and gas bills and stuff like that. Didn't cover it all, but it covered a portion of it. As time has progressed and everybody's wages increased, it slowly became more and more about wages. And then wages have certainly gone beyond what that millage was able to do. And of course, that's to be expected over a 20-year time frame, right? With inflation and everything else involved.
That's a long time frame.
It is. And so it's gone beyond that. And so that's why the 1.2 million, which is ultimately what we were talking about, is now morphed into 1.5 million. So that's what this millage is all about, is 1.5 million. And essentially it'll pay for the wages and benefits of the deputies that are at
All
the
right,
Chandler
and I never
facility.
did find out all the benefit stuff. Do you happen to know what the benefits are? I have heard, little birds have told me,
Mhm.
that the benefits are not great.
They're not.
They're not horrible, but
They're
they're
not
not
horrible.
great.
It's true.
So this is just to keep them not great. Are
It-
you going to cut benefits
No,
if this doesn't pass?
no. There's.
Is that a promise?
Well, I mean,
Are we going to get you a promise on this?
It's not a decision for me to make alone, but I can tell you that has not been on the chopping block, hasn't been in the discussion. I don't believe that is something that will be
Oh,
considered.
just sit on my knee like that.
Realistically, it's not going to make a huge dent in it.
Okay.
You know, it's just not. The most expensive thing out of it all is the wages. The wages for the deputies.
So you'd lose 12 positions, but you're not going to like cut anybody's wages, right? Like besides those 12.
Well,
but...
I mean, we're contractually obligated to continue those wages.
Oh,
so
okay.
They all have contracts.
So at least the people who remain would keep their salary and their benefits, even though they lose 12 of their friends.
Right. It would be
Maybe not friends,
Which
but
then
coworkers.
but then it creates a danger for the ones that are left.
Oh yeah.
They don't have the backup. They don't have, and I mean,
And it creates a danger for all of us.
right.
I mean, really.
And I think, weren't you telling us recently that the crime rate in Jackson has actually went down?
it has.
I mean, and couldn't that, if you have less police force, the
That'll
crime rates
definitely
can start
impact.
going back up.
That's one of my big
Yeah.
concerns is that
Yeah.
if you know that we don't have something like road patrol,
Right.
I mean, like, I know a lot of people in town have firearms. I know a lot of people have cameras.
Yeah, but a camera's only good for after the fact.
Yeah.
Once you've become a
Yeah.
victim of something, they can catch whoever it was on a camera, but
Maybe.
the crime's already done.
Right.
And
we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's like people, if you know that the cops aren't going to be here and we all got to wait for the state boys all of a sudden, like on every single call, like, yeah.
It's
If
definitely
I
a
was a
concern.
criminal, I would definitely take that as an invitation to do more crime.
one
That's
of
a
the
logical train of thought.
one of the things that just to kind of change your train of thought a little bit onto this,
Do it.
because it's really important. It's really important. We're talking about like worst case scenario, right? You hear something in the dead of night, you're calling 911, you're worried about it. There's somebody out there, they breaking into my house, whatever the case may be, which we get a lot of those calls, right? You'll see them on our shift activity reports.
I love those.
There'll be your suspicious situations. There'll be your field contacts, and you'll see after that, got a guy arrested for meth, got a guy arrested for fentanyl, or whatever the case may be. That's what happens in those situations. Now, them are, few and far between. Does everybody need to worry about that? Probably not. Hopefully not, right?
I'm a warrior.
I get it, but then you've got the folks out there that like where I come from, and the folks in my family are saying things like, yeah, but I carry a gun. I got a gun at the back door. We're not going to have to worry about that. We'll be able to take care of our own. So this is where I want to shift your train of thought a little bit. What about that 8-year-old that was raped by their stepfather?
What about that 8-year-old? Jeez.
Who's going to handle that?
I don't know. Who is going to handle that?
It's not going to be the guy at the back door with a gun.
That's
so
true.
we have to have the cops to be able to respond to those kinds of things. And those happen more frequently than you want to know.
Oh.
And those are the kinds of situations in conjunction with, you go out and your car window's broke and somebody stole some stuff. I mean, I get that's more of a nuisance and you want the guy caught and everything like that. But that in conjunction with the shootings and the other kind of violent crime that happens out there. Remember, we talked earlier about, that cooling off period and tapping things down. And that's 90% of this job is just tapping things down and keeping things under control. And most people don't want any trouble.
Full circle, that's what the millage is just keeping things under control.
Keeping things under control, it really is.
It's not even getting anything cool and new and sparkly. It's
No.
just keeping things under control.
Well, we were huge advocates for cool, new, and sparkly because of their safety.
Yeah.
I didn't pass, but I feel like for $25 a year, that's a little over $1 a month. Or no, $2 a month, a little over $2 a month. Sorry, long day.
Sorry.
I think
You're
it's worth
advocating
it
for
to
me,
me
so
to have. It's worth it to me. You can't even get a Starbucks coffee for $2.
And you would know.
You can't get a big
You would
coffee
know
for-
because you're there all the time.
Stop judging. But yes, I would know, but it's worth it. I mean, I could find that and change in my laundry room.
Yeah. I can find that right now in my purse, I guarantee you.
Oh, guarantee it. It's probably on the floorboard of my car right now.
So someone on here actually said, Connie brought it up. After we talked about the benefits, she said, would there be any packages for those losing their jobs? What about that? That's a good question. I hadn't even thought about that.
So
Are we really putting you on the spot? Let's
If
see.
anybody were to lose their job, they would definitely fall under, unemployment. So it would mean unemployment benefits and everything else like that.
I think the question's about what do you guys give them? Is there some
what
sort of
could they
severance
afford
package
to give them?
I don't
They
know. Can't we dip
afford.
into the rainy day fund for that a little bit?
No. Essentially, I don't anticipate that I'm going to have to lay anybody off. I think I can do it through attrition if I have to do it. That's why I call it a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
day decision. You know, those kinds of things are all going to be factors to take.
Plus,
into
what could
account.
happen between now and November? I mean, like, there may be less money to work with
Well,
by
you
the
know,
time you get there.
you know, I hate to tell you this, but so in a 2-month period this year, I lost 9 deputies. And when you lose that kind of people, you just don't expect it. You don't see it coming.
That's
There's no way to
a lot.
anticipate that. There's no way to prepare for it. I don't know what's going to happen between now and November.
Right.
So that I've got to take that into consideration. So those are all the things that come to my mind when I make those types of decisions. And I can't commit to anything. I don't anticipate that I would have to lay anybody off. Right now, because we've basically frozen and aren't hiring anyone anyway.
Yeah, I looked
We
like the
could
other
do it
day. I
through
think I saw like a
attrition.
CO. I think I saw a job posting, but I don't think I saw anything about like deputies. I was kind of surprised I didn't see more. I was like looking to see if there were a
Well-
lot of job postings for your department, and I think I saw just a corrections officer.
We actually had that up on our Facebook account just because we hadn't taken it off.
Oh, I was looking on the county website.
Oh, okay. And they may have not.
Yeah, it may just be.
taken it
I
off
didn't look
as
at all the
well.
details. It may have said like apply by a certain date or something, but I was just looking to see. It was actually when I was trying to figure out how much the deputies make and everything.
Oh, gotcha.
I went there first to see if like, well, maybe they have a job posting up.
Sure.
One of the
Were you
other.
able to get that information?
I got some of it, and I got some of the.
Look under the contracts. If you go to Jackson County,
Okay.
under contracts, you can see the deputy contracts for corrections and for patrol, and it's usually the last 1 or 2 pages of the contract.
Just so you know, it's
I'll give it.
8:43. My little timer
Okay.
needs to go off, but
That's all right. We got a late start.
I do want to.
My fault.
I know you got to go to sleep too,
Um.
right?
I-
Work in the morning.
I do have to work in the morning.
Yeah, but I've been
you know.
asking her for like 9 months to do another one of these. It's like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And then we have not done this in so long. That's why it took so long to get everything ready. It's been a while. It was winter. Actually, it may have been before Christmas last year. Our last one might have been while we were all decked out.
No, I
That's
think
the
we did
outfit.
one after that.
One of the other big things that people ask about in our group, all over Facebook, I feel like it happened at the meeting too, the one that you weren't at, but a couple of the deputies were, was why can't you just take this money from somewhere else? Why can't you just take this money from a different department? Who is sharing what? You know, like where does all this money come from? I do have this, which I know you know about, but I don't assume you have a copy right now.
Mm-mm.
So, since you know what some of this is, and he did tell me, oh, my screen's filthy, that this one is actually supposed to be, they lose $1 for every like $2 of something. That
So-
$3 is wrong. I just know that part. I don't remember the rest.
So for every dollar that the friend of the court receives, the state provides them $2 additional.
Oh, okay.
So for every dollar they take away, they lose $2. So they lose
So
$3
it's like
when they do
all these, and I do have notes from the county commissioner meeting last week, but man,
Mhm.
everyone was talking so freaking fast that night. Which things on here can we like absolutely not pull from? I assume this is every department.
that. Yeah.
He's looking at a graph that was shown at the county commissioner meeting last week. I'll pop it up in the comments or something, but it shows, I think, every department. So there's like drain commissioner, public elections, emergency dispatch. Oh, that's not even your department? That's
No.
separate?
Yeah, it's separate.
Oh.
Yep.
Equalization, things like that. And then sheriff's department's on here too. But they use this as like a visual graph at the county commissioner meeting and discussed. I know you can't take money from like animal control. You can't take money. He was railing them off so quick that night.
And the reason for that is a lot of those things, and they're not even represented on this graph. A lot of those things are already funded by a millage. So animal control is funded by a millage. The parks, which
The
aren't
whole
in
thing
here,
is funded by a millage?
It is. It's funded
Wow.
by a millage. Yep. So all of those things are already funded, and this is general fund money. So just to give you an idea,
Which you guys get your money out of general fund.
most of our money comes from the general fund.
Except for that state grant.
Except for the state grant, of course, we get the township contracts, the other things
Okay.
like that. That all comes from, and then beforehand we used to get it from a millage as well.
Right. And you just
Right.
have them for like the last year.
Right. So all the rest of this, the general fund has to pay for your court services, your facilities, the prosecutor, the medical examiner's office, front of the court. I'm just kind of hitting the highlights.
Really, these aren't even like high budgets either. Like some of these are really low. It seems like conservation district only has $10,000. That's the smallest one on here.
Right.
A question that I've seen pop up a lot of places is, why don't you use that money that you're writing tickets with? Which I looked into it, and it doesn't seem like you get the money from those
We don't.
tickets. That's correct. I
And if you
think when
think
I
of-
saw it, goes to libraries first, and then it
So-
goes to the court
What?
systems. And
You
it
didn't
goes-
even tell me this.
Yes, I did.
No, you
I
didn't.
did, but you don't listen to me.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a percentage of all 12th district court fines that go to the libraries. So that equals to be anywhere between $35,000 a month that goes to the library.
Y'all need to
Oh.
quit speeding.
Yeah.
Whoa, how many tickets do you guys write per month?
Yeah,
Off
it's
the top
a-
of your head.
well,
Do you
you know,
bring
that's-
stats with you?
No, 12th district court is not just traffic tickets.
Oh, so it's for
Okay?
anything.
That's
Oh,
a-
okay.
I mean, and that's
Where's my notebook?
basically the jumping off point of all kind of court
Right.
services inside the county, right? With the exception of like your divorces and different things like that. But if you've got situations with landlord tenants, if you've got and there's a fine or cost that has to be awarded there, or there's court costs that happen as a result of any number of different things that happen on the district court level, that's the portion that we're talking about. So it's not just traffic tickets. It's in
Still,
fact,
that's a ton.
in fact, that probably makes up a small amount of them, quite frankly. But
But do you know how many tickets you guys write per month?
I don't have it at my fingertips, but I can get it.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
that's all right.
You want to know how many you write to me?
0, right?
0. Perfect driving record.
I check it all the time. I'm just
Let's
kidding.
keep, I know.
Check it all the time.
Did we get her? Oh,
What else happened at that county commission? Oh, when you said like a lot of these decisions aren't yours to make, does that mean it's the county commissioners who make the
It is.
decisions?
yeah,
So if this does not pass, it's not up to you guys where to make the cuts. It's up to them.
it is.
So how do they get that? How come it doesn't fall on you guys?
They're the fiduciary. I'm the one who runs the sheriff's office. I'm the one who hires the deputies. I'm the one who manages and controls the policies and the way that the office is run completely. But
But you have 9 bosses.
No, they're not my bosses. But they do provide, they're the fiduciary. They're the ones who provide me, and there's statutory things that they have to give me, right? So they have to give me money to run a jail.
We
They
love
have
that
to
word
give me-
statutory here. We love that.
Yeah, well, they have to. They have to give me stuff to do certain things. There's certain things they don't have to give me stuff for. And one of those things they don't have to give me stuff for is general road patrol services.
Oh.
And that's why it can be cut. And
Well,
that's
I don't love that.
No, I don't love it either. But there's a couple of court cases that are right on point when that's addressed, but I won't go too deep into it.
Oh, geez. Oh, Lifeways. I have that written down as you can't take money from Lifeways.
No, they're also funded through a millage.
Oh, okay. Can't be cut from the road department, the
From
Department of
JCI.
Transportation, I guess, right?
Yep.
Can't be cut from mental health.
Nope, that's also funded through a millage. That's Lifeways.
I had like
basically.
17 pages of notes from that meeting. Man, there was so much going on. Yep, here we go. 12 full-time deputies. I did write that down. So, is this right? 26,000 calls last year over the 19 townships?
It was over. It was more like mid 26,000s. Yeah.
How many is that per day? Somebody do that mental math. I can't do that.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of calls a day.
That is a lot. And again, that's just county. Because state would also have some. So, like, man, how many calls are we making to the cops? A lot. Let's see.
You said around over 26,000 per day
No,
No.
per year.
or per year. I meant, yeah.
No, there's not that much crime. I did look it up. It looks like the population of Jackson County is, I think, 717.
160,000.
It's approximately 71 calls a day.
Whoa!
A day.
26,431 calls.
So it's
Last
over
year.
Look at you.
71
I'm
calls
peeking
a
at your
day.
notes.
Can you look at it?
Rives 703. See, I had 773, but I wonder if somebody just misspoke.
I thought it was 702. So
Because I heard that out of the 700 and whatever calls, 177 ended up with complaints.
That's a lot of calls for you.
That
have how many
is.
on patrol for
3,
Shift.
right? 3 in a shift?
yeah, 3. That's a tremendous amount of work.
That
Yeah.
is, my
Yeah.
God.
Mm-hmm.
If you turn on the Jackson scanner, it just goes off all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's constantly dispatch talking into it.
So this will give you an idea. In 2022, according to Miker, Jackson County ranked 10th out of 83 counties in reported crimes. In 2023, according to Google, so we'll see if that's
According to
right or not,
Google.
the city of Jackson was ranked as the 7th most dangerous city in Michigan.
Jeez.
But that's up. I believe they're both up from where they were. They were higher than that. We were ranked higher. So we have slipped backwards, which is a good thing. We want to
Right.
go backwards. I think we're the 4th most dangerous city not too awful long ago. So last year we're the 7th. So we're going in the right direction.
And let's
we're
think,
doing a
like,
lot of good things.
If Rives has this many, think about it. So we're bordering like Blackman, we're bordering Jackson. I guess bordering Onondaga. No, Onondaga's Ingham.
Mhm.
Like, even though we have over 700,
Tompkins.
we still have
Okay.
Tompkins, yeah. Like, there's still a lot of calls on your notes from, like, just these other places right next to us.
Right.
That doesn't even necessarily mean that, like, the crime didn't happen in Rives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody could have just called the cops over in Tompkins. We have a lot more crime here than I realized. Like, a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I guess 177 complaints isn't 700 complaints. I mean, we all know that I've had them called on me. That doesn't make complaints, but that's still like that is a lot of time. A lot of time spent just in Rives, and all these other places have way higher numbers than us because they're bigger places.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's spread way too thin.
Yeah. Which then creates even more danger.
Well,
Yeah.
back in 2000, when I was looking back on the history of the jail and collecting that information, I learned that back in 2000 we had 55 deputies on the road.
And there's
So
how many now?
we-
34?
40.
40.
That's full-time employees, a lot of positions. Right now, yeah, we've got 34. So, yeah. I call it the systematic defunding of police, but it's happened throughout society. It's not something that, the county commission is necessarily responsible for, but it is something that has gone on and has been chronic. And we have to get serious about that. We wonder why those crime rates go up and we have violent crimes and stuff like that. I mean, really, it's not that hard to figure out, but we choose not to for whatever reason as a society.
But I think it's important for people to understand also that you guys are not just there to take people to jail. And I feel like a lot of people view it that way. You guys are there to protect as well.
Right.
I had a situation earlier this spring where the car in front of me had hit a dog. And it killed the dog. The dog was in the middle of the road. I was hysterical. And I knew that you were supposed to report those things. So I called. And this sweet girl, full deputy, she came out. And
Officer Love?
no, I don't remember her name. I was too
She's
distraught.
so sweet.
But I mean, she came out, figured out what she had to do. I stuck around because I wasn't going to leave that dog laying there. I brought it home and buried it myself if I had to. But you know what I mean? And things like that. She took the report for the young man who, had to get his car fixed.
Sure.
And so there's things like that you guys are out there for. It's not just going after the bad guys. It's crap happens.
Plus, there's
It
also
does.
people who live in Rives who are employed by your department.
Yeah.
I know of at least
Yeah,
two.
several.
I know of at least two. I don't
Yeah.
know how many there are. Do you know how many there
I
are?
don't know how many. There's quite a few though.
I know a deputy and a corrections officer that are here, and both are very nice, very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was telling me like he wishes he could just stay in Rives all the time and like be on call here.
I used to cut one of them's hair.
That was the same one. So this came up at the last meeting, which you missed this part, but anyone who was at the meeting would remember this. This $2 million that constantly comes up at our meetings, usually when our county commissioner is there, and he never answers the questions about this. And this came up when the deputies were there at the last meeting, where people are saying, where's the COVID money? Where is the COVID money?
Oh, okay.
And it got to the point where I guess there was some confusion where the people from your department that were at the meeting didn't know what they were talking about.
Probably not. That's a little
they were
out of
like,
their
what?
line.
Yeah, like what COVID money are you talking about? It was like $2 million, $2 million.
Mhm.
From what I understand, so I'm going to fact check with you,
Okay.
is that was $2 million that got promised to you guys or something by the county commissioners out of
Right.
the rainy day fund or whatever,
No,
if a
without-
millage would pass,
Mhm.
and then that millage did not pass, so that $2 million just never got given to the department, right? Like,
essentially,
it's not that you got
was-
it and you guys like blew it on donuts, right?
No,
You didn't
no,
blow it on Wesco
no,
Donuts. You
no,
didn't
we
get the
didn't.
money in the first place, right?
No. So, yeah. So it's a little bit to unpack there, right?
Oh,
So-
nice.
No,
I
it's
wish we had
important.
some popcorn.
It's not. It's ARPA money. Okay, it doesn't come
Right.
out of the rainy day fund. I just want to make sure that we say it correctly.
Oh,
So
okay.
It's so yeah, that was the COVID money. Doesn't come out of the rainy day fund. So it's important to understand the differentiation between the two. Then, so the $2 million that was being talked about at that meeting had to do with, it could have been as much as $3 million, depending upon some circumstances. But originally, we wanted to use some of the ARPA funding for the jail. Well, it was
For the
absolutely
to make it
prohibited.
safer.
No, we just to offset the cost.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
the taxpayer. But we couldn't do that because that money was not allowed for a jail. And so,
Oh, okay.
what it was allowed for, what certain parts of it were allowed for, was for heating and cooling and ventilation and things of that nature, right? For the prevention of diseases and all that kind of stuff. So the idea was, okay, we're rehabbing the Channer Road facility, and we would be able to use that money for the heating and cooling and all that other stuff inside that facility. So it gets extraordinarily expensive when you talk about building anything in a correctional setting, because you have to make sure that there's all sorts of safeguards in place so people can't kill themselves and do all sorts of things. So it gets really expensive really quick. Well, that $2 million that we were going to use out of the ARPA money was going to be used for that at the Channer Road facility.
Okay.
Now, it might have been a little bit more. They figured that we could probably use as much as $3 million out of it. But that was, again, going to depend on a lot of different factors. And had that happened, what would have ultimately occurred is the millage rate would have been shrunk a little bit,
Okay.
you know, commensurate to the amount of money that we would be able to use from the ARPA. But what happened is that millage failed in 2022. So
Okay.
the money that was earmarked for that build went into another pot and was spent somewhere else.
Do you know where it was sent? Like where it ended up?
I don't know where it was spent.
Who do I call to find that out? Who's
Um,
going to get a phone call from me tomorrow's
it-
business day?
It might be
That's a fact.
Just to fact check where it did end up.
it might be one of those things where you'd have to, you know, look. Somebody would probably have to figure it out. So nobody's going to know that answer off the top of their
So
head.
it's been like dispersed between probably lots of places.
It probably.
But you didn't get it.
No, I did not. Get
Okay.
it. So what they did do with some of that money is they have this Verigy project. I should say, it's a heating and cooling and energy reduction project. I call it the Verigy project because that's the company. Verigy is the company that's coming in.
I've
and
heard that
actually
company
doing
name
it.
somehow.
Yeah, you probably heard it at the meeting. Verigy did receive some of those monies to revamp the heating and cooling in the different facilities, like the county courthouse. I know we're going to get new air conditioning on Wesley Street, and we're going to get a new heat pump.
Does that mean you don't need to use the vice grip anymore?
No, we'll still be using
That
it
was the
probably.
boiler system.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure if he was getting to that. Like, oh, we're going to fix
Yeah.
that part too. Like, we don't have to use a vice grip
That
to...
probably won't be fixed.
Or weird little
but-
holes to check what the temperature is or whatever
Yeah.
that was.
I mean,
Yeah.
thermometer.
Yeah.
But wasn't there something about like the poles too?
Yeah,
There's like
that
different
we-
length
That's
poles.
how we adjusted it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that probably won't be affected. I don't know.
Because the vice grip works for now.
Well, so what they're doing is
I feel like you should find the picture and like post it in the comments so people know what we're talking about. They're like literally
Oh, I
using
will.
tools to like run
Yeah.
the boiler right now. It's horrible. But this is about the jail.
no.
It's not that.
It's really important to understand that the project that we're putting money into the Wesley Street facility too is all stuff that if we're able to do something different later on, we can pull it right off of that building. That's why we're not going too deep inside, because all this energy saving project has to do with geothermal heating and cooling. And so there's big pumps to pump that stuff way underground and then pump it back up. And then, of course, new air conditioning unit and things of that nature. So all of that stuff is stuff that we can reclaim and use somewhere else if we need to. but there has been some of that money used for that as well. But it wasn't that money that that you were talking about.
Right. I've heard this brought up so many times, and it's like I never knew what people were talking about. And then just a week and a half ago, finally kind of confirmed like you didn't get that money. So it's like people have been pretty upset at our meetings over money that they thought had been delivered to you and just vanished. And because we couldn't get the question answered.
And they wouldn't know that. The deputies that you're talking about.
No, actually, I meant like our county commissioner. He kept getting put on the spot. Like anytime he'd show up, this would come up, and he didn't seem to know the answer to it. So the deputies, like, they kind of went hard trying to figure out like what is this money? Like, I don't know what this is. Let me find out. Like, let me see what I can find out, because it seemed like the first time they'd ever heard it.
Yeah, that probably was.
Yeah, like they were just super confused by it. Which
Yeah,
obviously does not mean they were trying to withhold information. They just
No,
literally
they
didn't
told
know what
you.
this was about.
They know it now because
Yeah.
of that meeting. They actually came up and talked to me about it, and I explained to them just like I did to you. This is what it was, but we never got it. So
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
And the thing is though, if we'd have got it and just used it arbitrarily or whatever, we'd had to pay it back and probably a fine.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it worked out okay. It's just one of those things. If the millages would pass, you know, there was all sorts of these ideas that were cost savings that we were going to use and implore to try and make sure that that we were saving the taxpayer as much money as possible. But it didn't work out, especially in that case.
Yeah, I know there was a $38,000 budget too to promote the last millage, and from what I understand, there's like no budget for that this time, right?
Yeah, it's actually more than that. We had $38,000 was costs associated with a lot of other things, but was to promote the millage. Then in addition to that, we spent another $21,000 on mailings to get out the information. Yeah, so the total cost was $59,000.
Oh my God. See, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that some people argue like, why didn't you use that money?
Well, it's just,
Use it
it's
for
not
what?
I know,
enough. Use
I
it
know,
for what?
no, I know, but
That's a
I'm
drop
sure
in
that that's one of those things that like immediately sticks out as like, that's a lot of money, but.
It's a drop in a bucket when you're talking, like my budget's almost $14 million a year. So
Oh yeah, on that chart, like your budget is like, woo,
yeah,
right
it's
off the
huge.
page. Yeah,
And it
seems
has to
like
be.
it seems like it should be enough. Like I can understand the frustration of looking at these numbers and thinking like, how is this not enough?
But when you look at the numbers and see such a big number, it does look like it should be more than enough. But when you look at the grand scale, like you probably have out of all of the other things that the county has to fund, well, minus the roads, like take that out of the.
We're still the biggest budget.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have
Yeah.
to be.
And you're right.
You know, I mean, you are literally housing hundreds of people every day.
Yep.
You know, they have to eat. I don't care if they committed a crime; they still have to eat.
They do.
They have to have clothing. They have to have toiletries. They, all these things.
There's a lot of medical expenses that
Yes,
come involved
medical.
in that as well. A lot of our folks that come in, they're fragile for one reason or another, whether their mental health is a problem or they come in, they're addicted to drugs. I mean, we take in everybody,
Ooh.
right? So
Right.
there's all sorts of things that we have to do.
And here I'm sitting looking at this because I'm trying to think of all these things that people bring up as valid points. And just looking at it because I happen to know what you make and I happen to know what the deputies make. You're a couple grand less than the average, and the deputies in Jackson County are making considerably less than average. About 18 grand less than average. So
Which-
it's not like we're overpaying either.
We're
Like
not gluttons.
our deputies are not making a lot of money to begin with.
So,
And it turns out they are way
let's
far
put this
below
into
the
a
average.
context for you. So we are in the bracket of the 10th highest crime in Michigan, with officers making less
Right.
than average. That's alarming and sad.
Because I know a lot of people will throw out things
And
like,
it's not your fault.
why aren't people
You know,
cutting
no.
salaries? I hear a lot of like, why don't people cut salaries of like the higher ups? I was very shocked to find out, very shocked. How much do you think the county commissioners make? Did I tell you the other day?
You
Did I tell you?
me. Mm-mm.
Guess how much you, okay, I'm specifically talking about Corey Kennedy is the vice chair. So off the top of your head, what do you think he makes? Because I had a guess and I was so far off, I couldn't believe it.
I don't even want to guess because I'm not even sure.
I asked a couple people recently and we all seem to kind of gravitate toward like, I don't know, 50 grand.
That's kind of what the
He
number
makes
that
less
popped in my
than
head.
14. Less than 14. So this is not even like a county commissioners are making
So you're saying
$200,000
our
a year.
township supervisor makes more than our county commissioner?
That was my first response.
no wonder
actually.
he didn't want that job.
Yeah, and they have like 1,000
Sorry.
meetings a year, don't they? You probably go to a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, they have a lot.
They've got like 8 meetings in October. There's
There's a ton of
so
meetings.
many, and they're making. I mean, he's vice chair, so you have to assume who's the chairman, like Shotwell or I don't know what he makes, but I do know the vice chair makes less than 14. So now when I hear people say like, why can't the county commissioners cut their salaries to foot this? It's like they aren't even making anything. That is
Right.
very little. Very little. I'm surprised. I thought it'd be like 50 grand at least.
You know, I really think, and I think I'm glad that you brought all that up. I really think that we do a good job of being stewards of the taxpayer dollar.
Oh, I think you guys
I
are
think so, too.
underpaid. Like
I do too.
This is
and especially the deputies. You know, and aside from myself, I really would prefer that the deputies be paid very, very well because they're out there.
Me too.
They're out there putting their lives on the line, and you know, people say, "Well, that's just nonsense," but it's true. You know, in any one of these circumstances, things could go really bad. You know, I had a deputy just a week or so ago that was involved in an incident where a gun was pointed at him. He shot him with a taser, and the guy ended up shooting himself.
Ooh.
So a horrible situation, but these are the kinds of things that happen. And when there's fights inside the jail, we had a.
I don't
we
even
had a
want to
deputy-
imagine the fights inside the jail because that place is just not safe.
Well, just
Oh.
imagine going in there all by yourself. You know, those
No,
cells
thank you.
contain 14.
No,
16
thank you.
Yeah, there's 14, 16 people in there, and they don't want to be in there, right? And then somebody hangs himself right in front of you. So we had a deputy run in there, if you can imagine, run in there, pick him up.
I can't.
cut him
I have a
down.
thing called aphantasia, but we'll talk about that later. I actually cannot make pictures in my head, but Mary can. So you imagine this.
I just did.
But it's horrible stuff like that. You
That's
know, that
traumatizing,
They're
yes.
involved with
For
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes.
It is, you know, and it's tough for them, and they deserve every penny they get, as far as I'm concerned.
Plus, I think I told you when we went on that jail tour, I think I said, like, one of my biggest fears is going to jail for something I didn't do. But, like, they're, you know, that whole idea, and I brought it up at the county commissioner meeting. I have been treated so fairly and with so much respect by the deputies through Jackson County. Like, I
appreciate
am
that.
very grateful that every time this happens.
Every
Every
interaction
time
I've ever
this
had with
happens.
them has been very good and
Yes,
positive
like
and-
just such nice people, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're not paid enough. I told
Mhm.
them some people need some gift baskets.
They're really, really caring too. You know,
They
really
are.
really thoughtful, really caring.
Even just
people.
coming to our
Yeah.
meeting and sitting there the whole time, like they didn't leave. I know 2 of them left because they were going to a different meeting. But they stayed for a while, then they left. But the other 2 stayed the whole time.
And they
You
weren't getting
stayed the-
paid to be there.
You
They were
stayed the
off duty,
whole
correct?
time. You stayed when you came and talked to like a year ago. That was like in the winter or something.
It was about the millage.
Right.
Mhm.
But it was like over the winter. I remember it was a long time ago because I didn't know who you were at the time. I had seen your
Okay.
name, but
It was Valen Rives.
was
It
it?
was Valen Rives, I think.
You were at the Valentine's Day party?
Did we have all
I
the
don't remember.
decorations? I think it was.
You didn't get a bracelet because I made like little beaded bracelets for everybody.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, maybe that was January. maybe it's there for the
Anyways.
January one. Yeah, I go all out for holidays. I like a good theme. But yeah, like you guys, I mean, just showing up and being able to stand there and take the questions and then not leave after, you know that's like a big deal. I bring this up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
At our meet and greet, came to the meet and greet to, you know, support candidates and at least like be part of it and find out who's running. And you guys are just so sweet and you're also severely underpaid. So yeah, I don't think we should be cutting anything from anybody at this point.
No, I appreciate.
Mary and
that.
I have made it really clear, like we're both voting yes. Like we've already been popping into comments and stuff about it.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, and it's everybody has a right to vote the way they want. But
yeah, my
I
big thing
feel
is
like
making sure people know
I want people
what's
to know
happening.
the facts and know why the money is needed and
Mhm.
you know how it's not just I pay this much taxes, I don't want to tax. Public service is
That's exactly
funded
what
by
it's.
the people.
yeah.
I mean, we have to fund.
I think
those
people
things.
forget that like
It's not.
taxes
We don't
go to
just
so
get,
many things.
You know, Whitmer don't just hand out millions.
You're gonna get
and
yourself muted in our group.
millions of. I don't care.
We don't talk about like national stuff or state stuff
But
even.
but I'm just saying that it is directed to local because the local is not getting millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to just be
True.
like, here, do whatever you want with
Right,
it.
they don't even have
We
adequate
have to
staffing
be-
right now.
Because if she was
This is
doing
how we
that, where
are.
is she going to get it from? She's going to get
Poor
it from
guy, look
us.
at him, just right in the middle of us. We're just back and forth, back and forth.
Well, I mean, it's facts. And I don't think that, and I think it took me a long time to understand that fact as well. Because I used to have the same mindset of, I don't want to pay all these taxes. This is dumb. But I understand it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
Who wants to work hard and lose their paycheck? Nobody. But, I mean, it's your property taxes. It's $2 a month. Like, let's just...
And sometimes it's not you that ends up needing it. Sometimes it's your neighbor.
Right.
That's right.
But at some point in our
sometimes
lives...
I may never need the cops talking to me face to face ever again, but somebody I care about might.
happen, and things that you would never anticipate will happen in the blink of an eye. And you want to have those services there. If this does not pass and we lose, we lose road patrol or anything, what are they, people, what are you going to do? You can't get mad.
Oh, before we wrap it up, because I know that
Yes.
everybody has to go to bed, but I did hear that, is it Summit that has a contract with you guys? Summit has, okay.
They do, yep.
And what's their population? They're like way bigger than us. Not way bigger, but they're not as
The
big as like
Rives?
Blackman,
Yeah,
though, are they?
They're not as big as Blackman, no.
But they're considered like 5 times bigger than us. Maybe we've got like 5,000 right now, I think.
Not even.
Maybe 20,000. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I have to look it up.
I don't remember. I had the numbers on it. Do you happen to know offhand what they pay for their contract? Isn't it like $400,000 a year
Roughly
or
a half
something?
million. Roughly a $500,000.
Because they basically like outsourced to you guys to like cover, to basically
Right.
make a police department for them. So if night patrol were to vanish because this doesn't pass and all of a sudden everything has to get cut, I did start trying to confirm, like, could Rives get into a contract with the county to basically have coverage at night? And from what I understand, it'd be somewhere between like 100 or 200, maybe around $100,000 a year. Not that we have that, but I think it's important to bring up, like, what if we absolutely want to have night patrol? That means, like, I guess our
Wait,
township board...
Where you're going with this, let's think about it this way real quick. If we did contract and we had to pay them $100,000 a year, I think our taxes would go up a hell of a lot more than $2 a month.
It's true.
Oh, I didn't even think about that part. I was thinking about the fact that we don't have $100,000 to hire out a temporary police department.
I guess it could become a possibility, but I don't know how it all
When I
would
found
work
out that
well,
they
but-
have, that they're paying almost like $500,000, it was like, well, now I want to know how much it would cost for us. And from what I gather, it'd be like about 100, maybe a little bit less. Not that we have that. We don't have that to spend, but that's the other reality. Like, what if after a few months of there being no night patrol, then it's like, we need it. Like, Rives needs it for some reason. Where's that money going to come from?
We're gonna have to pay it.
I'm going to have to
And
FOIA a
it's
lot
gonna
more
be a whole
things
lot
and
more.
point out a lot more budget issues so that we can find that money somewhere. Because as far as I can tell, we do not have $75,000, $100,000 to have patrol in Rives just for us.
Yeah.
I don't even know how much it costs to like start a whole police department. I assume that's a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how much that costs?
The insurance is going to be... That's what's going
Oh,
to
and the insurance company. We can't put anything else.
That's
on
what,
them.
I think that's what usually does in those smaller departments is how much insurance you pay.
Oh, that makes sense.
There's a lot of costs and then training costs. The state mandates that police officers have a certain amount of training every year. So when they're in that training, they're not covering, right? And then a lot of that training is going to be all day, sometimes a week-long training, depending upon the circumstances. So you're paying for services that you're not getting because they're in training. And that's why a lot of places elect to contract with us.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
And
It makes
those
sense
are
for them.
probably I assume Summit probably has just a healthier budget in general. They've got more
Yeah,
people.
a lot more
like
population.
It's like when things come up about like parks and Rives or parks and Blackman. It's like, well, they have DDA is helping them and stuff. Like we
Sure.
don't have that thing. So when it comes to the cops, like we don't have that amount in our budget. Our 20-cent FOIA fees are not going to pay for that. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, I thought it was important to point out, like, not only could we lose the night patrol, which makes me super nervous. That makes me nervous. I know it makes other people nervous too, but I'm like paranoid about that because we're out in the middle of nowhere. I've
But
got three little kids in my house.
I think we need to remember that it's not just about, crime after midnight. It's also
I
about
know.
those emergency situations because there are emergency situations in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah,
and
but yeah, I've had to call.
The interesting thing about it is when you look at it on a graph, you're going to see more calls during the day. But that's because the incidents that occur at night, people don't.
And I
see
couldn't
that
find
stuff.
numbers about times of things really because of that kind of like trips me up because a lot of people don't know until, or it's like happening at shift change.
Right.
And it's like the crime may have been at 6 p.m., but it didn't get called until 7:30.
Exactly.
So I couldn't really find good stats on that just because of the way things get reported.
Well, we went 45 minutes over what we said we were going to keep this for.
Yeah, I know. We should probably sign off and everything so we can go say bye to him.
But we just want to thank him for coming to answer questions.
Well, thank you for having me.
Hang out in this pink room. Hang out with us jokesters. If people watch this later and like start commenting more questions, are you cool if I shoot those over to you and then I'll just like quote you right back?
Yeah, for sure.
Or we'll just make you come back tomorrow or something. Something like that.
We will not do that.
Listen, we lost big in Rives at our last meeting, or excuse me, at our last millage. So, you know, that's why I want to emphasize, you know, the importance of educating everyone out here so that they know what's at stake. Because the reality of it is, it's going to affect the outlining communities a whole lot more than it's going to affect the ones that are right in the metropolitan area of Jackson.
Yep.
And so you got to be cognizant of that. And, you know, this is your safety that we're talking about. It's critically important.
Yes, it is. Yeah, well, thanks for hanging out. Maybe we can do this again, and maybe you can come to our board meeting. Maybe it'll be another good chance to talk for a minute. I'm sure they'll let you.
Okay.
I'll demand it.
I am all over the place here the next month.
I was gonna say you're probably just super busy.
I don't know if Rives is on there for me, but if it is, I'll be there.
Well, maybe you shuffle things around a little bit because you know it's our last fall meeting, I guess. Okay. Last one before the election. So I don't know. County commissioner might be there. Hopefully somebody from the department can come and maybe just be ready to just maybe last minute concerns or questions. Just because you guys have been so helpful and so informative.
Sure. We'll figure something out.
And yeah, so the people watching know if you have more questions, you watch this later, tomorrow at work or something, just comment them into here, and then I will get answers and put them back into the comments so that other people who have the same questions can see them too.
Christina Lindgren said to tell you thank you.
Oh, thank you. You are welcome.
All right. Are you controlling all this right now? You want to shut this down and stuff? We will talk to you guys later. I'm going to go read comments in a minute, see what I missed. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Let's figure it out.